Hello and welcome to The Clear Voice. I'm your host, James Groom. Today we bring you a PositionCast, trademark pending, for the role of City Manager of Lamesa, Texas. With me to talk about this opportunity is Clear's President, Michael Boese. Welcome to the show, Michael.
James, glad to be on again, and we are excited to conduct these position casts and bring our audience and our potential candidates information about these communities. I want to start off with a little bit of controversy, though. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce this city. I started saying Lamesa when we first looked at it, and then somebody told me that it was Lamesa. We have a guest on today that's really going to be able to clear this up for us and also be able to talk about all the amazing things that are going on out in that region and exactly what they're looking for in a city manager. So excited to have the mayor on the program today. And if you don't mind, I'll jump in and just introduce Hayden. Hayden and I had a chance to visit when I was out in the community, seeing firsthand what the community looks like, all the cultural aspects of what they have. And I was really impressed with the people, just the amount willing to serve and make their community better. As we get Hayden on the program, I think it's going to be a lot of great information for our listeners.
Well, thank you. It is Lamesa, just for the ones questioning everything out there.
Good deal. Good. Well, thanks for clearing that up, Mayor.
Well, Mayor Davis, welcome to the show. Lamesa, I'll probably edit the other thing and make it sound like I said it right the first time, so it'll be fine. Mayor, we always like to start getting to know you a little bit. If you can tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to council and now are serving as a mayor and, why you do so.
Well, just a little bit of a background. My family's been in Lamesa for probably close to 70, 75 years. We've either been in Lamesa or right around Lamesa, mostly farming background. Granddad did that for 54 years. And then my mom's side of the family, she's got her side that is still farming today. So, probably at least 70 years on her side of the family. Deeply rooted in agriculture, hence what the community is as well. But came to council a year and a half ago and became mayor in a short time period. The former mayor decided not to run, and it kind of left this void of, okay, well, who's running? And when the 11th hour struck, nobody really had filed. And it was like, well, when you have, pressure from different ones in the community that are prominent, it's, well, I guess maybe this is what I need to do. Are you sure that's what you need to do? And there's really no time for prayerful consideration at that point. You just kind of go. I have served on school board. I have a little bit of executive experience. I've done school board before. I did served on a co-op cotton gin board, executive board. I did that. So between all that, I've got about 15 years of semi-executive experience. I haven't really led the charge, but I've been involved in the decision-making and such.
It's always good when the people around you are thrusting you into that leadership position. So I'm sure you're doing a great job and will continue growing into that role. So thank you for serving your community.
Well, it's one of those you kind of question is like, are they leading me for the lamb to slaughter, or is this really the right choice? Well, you get, as a council member, you don't get comfortable, but it's like, I can handle this. I have to just speak my mind, and I get to vote and this and that and be a part of things. And then you get on in this chair and it's, now you really have to make those decisions, those calls of, hey, we can allow this if we choose to. It makes things, whatever it may be. And so it is a little different.
Yeah, it's certainly an important role, and we're glad that people step in to serve that. Speaking of Lamesa, can you kind of tell us a little bit about the city, the community at large? What's the lifestyle there? What's it like to live and work in Lamesa?
So Lamesa is a town of about 8,500, 9,000 people. It's a small town. It is located 55 miles south of Lubbock, and we're about the same distance north of Midland. As far as shopping and getting back and forth, you kind of just get used to driving. Both places have 4-lane highways to get back and forth. So you kind of have that big city accommodations you can get to if you have to, but you're not 2.5 hours away from it. But you can also be a small town feel. It can be and probably could be largely considered a bedroom community for those larger communities as they have grown over the past few years. You have more people than I realize that live in Lamesa, but, mom and dad works in either medical field in Lubbock or they go to the oil field in Midland, which is the predominant industries, I would say, probably in both places now. We have schools that are not large. It's kind of a unique situation as far as that goes. You have not only Lamesa, that is the bigger school in the area, and I think it's a small 3A or a large 2A school, and it has top-end facilities that they've really went out in the last 5 years and built new facilities to help aging facilities get addressed. There's 4 smaller schools within 15 minutes, 1A schools, 6-man schools that offer different opportunities for those as well. And they're all good schools. So it's kind of a unique opportunity. If you want to shop, you have that opportunity, I guess. It is a community that I would say you largely have a service-based mindset. People earnestly want the best. How do we get to that point? It is a community, I would say, based in service. Just a small town. It goes to sleep at about 7:30 and wakes up at about 9:30. So it has small businesses. It does have shopping. We have lost a Walmart. Has probably been right around 10 years ago. So the dollar stores have kind of become more prominent in town. But you do have local businesses. You do have some local shopping and gift shops and stuff like that have moved into town. And we have plenty of restaurants. That's a positive. It's a unique aspect in a unique place, I would say. While you're far enough away, you have a community that is still based in, I would say, its faith and also in its roots. It's an agricultural community at heart, has been forever. But it is also, we're at the doorstep of oil field country. We're what used to be, kind of off in the distance. Oh, that's a Midland County thing. It's crept up to our doorstep. It's now started in the southern part of the county, and it's worked its way. We're probably 10 miles from town now. So it's inching its way closer. Businesses are more based now, oil field based. You're seeing that more. You've got trucking companies, you've got service companies and stuff like that.
Mayor, I was also really impressed with your economic development director when I was out there. And I know the city council and yourself have a vision for growing the economy. There's the potential of additional highway that I think you can talk about that may bring even greater opportunities for business and industry to come in. And the other thing is you guys do have a focus of increasing housing and really letting that market, be viable to have new families moving into your community. But could you talk a little bit about the economic development that you have going on? And then it's always great as a city manager to come in and have just somebody who has the depth of knowledge of economic development like your EDC director does, and kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Mona has done a very good job. She's our EDC director. She's been in that position, I think, for 4 years now, maybe 5. She's eager. She brings a lot of new perspective to town. Now you got to drag the old guard and show them the way type scenario. What has been the question for the last 20 years of, is Interstate 27 coming to town? It's been talked about, talked and planned, and we've moved past that. Question's been answered. Now it's where is it coming to town and how is it coming to town? It's going to be a unique situation because in the past few years, Midland Odessa has hopped on the train as well. So they will now have I-27 West going their direction and splitting, and then what is now 349 will become I-27 West, and it will tie into I-27 East just south of town. The future, you'll have technically 2 interstates coming into town. It's just a matter of how are they going to exactly come through town? Questions that are still being discussed by the powers that be. Because you've had other industries that have moved in those spots. So it's kind of complicated, some things, but it's housing is going to be an interesting thing. We have plenty of the lower income housing and we have plenty of the higher income, but that meat of the situation is really what we struggle with. And those are the homes that people are really after, that want to build a family, that want to potentially stay here in town, and is one of the driving factors that actually sends people away from Lamesa. Because they can't, they can rent for as long as they want, but they can't purchase. They can't really establish a root here because it's just it's a very limiting factor. And it also ties into, we've had several manufacturers that have wanted to come into town and set up shop. And it's, well, we're going to do this, we're going to spend this money, but where are my people going to live? That's been a challenge. it remains one as well. But Mona has got into with different companies that have different ideas on how to approach that issue. One thing is taking like city trust land that we've either condemned or are in charge of in some way or fashion, and using that to build not really, maybe the correct term is row housing, and have stuff like that. This is kind of a different take. It's not necessarily, oh, here's your lot and here's your house. It's a little more communal in that sense. They're nicer upscale housing that can address those issues. We have the chance with the interstate to bring in a lot of stuff. I know that there's people out there wanting to build large RV centers, large convenience stores, large truck stops, but everybody is waiting. What's the interstate going to do? Where is it going? Where do I buy my land? And it's kind of funny where the growth, where they thought it would go years ago, it's probably not going now. So things are having to shift those directions.
Just for context, what's the average price of like a starter home there in Lamesa?
You're probably looking at a decent starter home. I'd say 75 to 85 if you want just a decent starter home. It's not expensive to live here. I know we get beat over the head for taxes. It's not expensive, and compared to a Lubbock or a Midland, and it really depends on what a person's going for. Your bigger cities can offer, they obviously do a better job at sports and, offering things for youth and stuff like that. What are you going for? Are you going for that aspect, or are you going for just kind of an overall quality of life? And Mona is a big proponent of that. And I think council is becoming a bigger proponent of this, is the quality of life in town. And, I'm a firm believer that if you can provide a decent, solid quality of life, we don't have to have biggest and the best. We just have to be good at what we do on it. But then that's also that's a selling point to people coming to town. That's a selling point to businesses. That's also another thing that comes up when Mona has those conversations of, hey, I'm wanting to bring 50, 60 jobs to town. What are they going to do? Well, that's a great question, and it's staying on top of that and developing those as well to where you're not having to drive 50, 60 miles 2 or 3 times a week going to these bigger towns. You can do it right here.
Being in West Texas, I'm going to assume that Friday Night Lights is important. I know you guys have some local events. Can you talk about some of those things that candidates can look forward to in Lamesa?
Yeah, so football is a big thing. One of the area schools actually just went deep into the football, 6-man playoffs, and was 1 game away from state championship. So it is a big thing out here. I would say when the fall starts, life kind of slows down. It speeds up if you have the kids, but it slows down because it's just, everything kind of stops because that's what people are doing right now. They start playing school sports. So that is a big thing in town. Events in town, we do have a chicken fried steak festival. I don't know, the myth to me, it's still a myth because I don't quite know, but it's supposedly Lamesa is the birthplace of the chicken fried steak. It's kind of one of those you get to asking questions, trying to figure out who is who, and nobody knows who these people are. But that's the claim to fame at the moment, so I'll run with it. But it's held every spring in April. It can be a big deal. It has been a very large deal in the past. I think it just depends on weather, who's coordinating, and those types of things. And we have recently, the city has been in charge of that in the past, and we recently handed that off to the Chamber of Commerce and really feel like they're better suited for it. They have the people that can dedicate time kind of year round to it, and they have those connections that where we kind of have to go find those, they have them.
So now that we know where I'm going to be in April at the Chicken Fried Steak Festival, I was really impressed as I was driving into town, the beauty of the landscape that is Lamesa. You guys have really great parks that you're passionate about and really want to take good care of. But also, if you enjoy an outdoor lifestyle, if you like hiking or kind of some of those other things that keep you outside, it seemed like a community that was very supportive of a lifestyle like that.
It very much is. Lamesa has, I think it's around 116 acres of actual parkland. Now, that does include our baseball, softball complex. And we do have, and I think it's like 16 acres that it sits on. It has the potential to really be something. And where we are geographically, we get hounded for tournaments at our complex and stuff like that all the time. We're going through some growth pains. If I was saying one of those challenges is you have to get the people that maintain those facilities to understand like this is important for not only us as a community, but it's important for other people that are looking at our community as well. Some of our bigger parks, I think the biggest one's like a 30-acre park, and it is covered in trees. That's where our bigger community center, we have 2 in town. That's where our bigger one is, probably more of the one that's focused on your bigger community events, your businesses that come in and they'll rent, needing a meeting space. That's where that one is located. It does have a pavilion. It's got bathrooms. And that is where a lot of the festivals in town, 4th of July celebrations, the Chicken Fried Steak Festival, those are located. We do have a pool. It's going to hopefully soon be undergoing a facelift. So that is one thing that whoever sits in the city manager's chair next will have to be in charge over is helping us and guiding us through that. And it has a walking path that goes around that part. And you're not too far from, if you want to actually go do actual hiking, Big Spring State Park is 40 miles to the south. If you like fishing, you've got that just about that far to the east and really to the northeast. So you're not in a bad location if you like the outdoor stuff. There's a lot of deer hunting that goes on. And believe it or not, as flat and as few trees as we have, there's quite a few deer hunting, dove hunting, and you get into this time of the year and you've got crane hunting.
It sounds like you guys have a little bit of everything for somebody coming out there. And before we started doing the podcast, I wasn't even aware that there were such things as chicken fried steak festivals. So I think this is the second one I've heard of. I'll just say personally, I think you should run with you guys invented chicken fried steak. Let somebody else counterclaim it. I wouldn't put the asterisk next to it. I would just take it and own it. And if anybody else challenges that, I would, take them on and you guys can figure out how to fight that out.
I think the original chicken is supposedly named Perry. The myth grows.
You've got it all. So I think you should just run with it. Mayor, you guys are a home rule city with a council manager form of government. Can you kind of tell us your philosophy as mayor regarding the relationship between the council and the city manager?
It's very important. Whoever your city manager is, the council relies on them for knowledge and information. You're relying on that person to not only come to a meeting prepared and based in whether it be an initiative that they're wanting to tackle or just a situation that comes up. So it is very important to me and I believe to council as well that person, we have a one-on-one relationship with them. We don't necessarily have to be friends with the person, but that definitely could help things. And that is something we're trying to really get back to is a personal relationship with our city manager in that position. It is desired. It is important that we have that. And as situations do come up, knowing that person is informed and okay, what they're telling you is it's not this is the way I see things. It is, no, we have to do it this way. Here's the potential risk and here's the risk, here's the reward type thing. And it'd be knowledge-based as well as and facts-based.
And your role sits at a very interesting intersection between the community, council, and staff. When you think about all the qualities that a person can exhibit that would be coming into this role, what are you looking for? What is council looking for? And what does staff want from this person?
I think the biggest thing that overlaps in everybody's area is, I would say, building a culture of accountability. Not really being one that singles out different things, but being one that holds everybody to the same standard. Within City Hall, really building probably lack of better words, a family type atmosphere that, we all work together, but we're all family too. I think that has been one thing it's been absent in the past few years, trying to get back to that and boosting morale. It all ties into everything. They're all hand in hand. We're looking for a strong leader. Lamesa I believe, is at a point to where we are a good community, but we are right on that bubble of being something bigger. And it's finding someone who shares that vision, like, hey, with the interstate, with things changing, you've got the oil field coming in. Is that going to have an influx of money coming in? What's that look like? We have other opportunities on the horizon with AI and data centers. What does all that look like? The landscape is changing. The economics does play a role into that. It's no secret, farming's not in a great spot, but just things are changing. It's the community is in a point, I believe, of a somewhat evolution. And it's not that you're wanting to get away from ag. We are evolving. And it's having a person sitting in that chair that sees that vision and that does not mind capturing it and really playing on that with us in building that. It is an absolute necessity, in trying to build strong relationships, not only with our local entities, our local organizations, but as you get to the state level, building a stronger, better relationship. We do have a prison in town, so it's, maintaining a positive relationship with them and building upon something there. TxDOT, obviously, we are going to be at the center of not only projects we have in town, which I hope get wrapped up very soon, but also as the interstate comes, and having an integral part of that. And that has been one it hasn't been in a great spot, I would say, and it's, predates some of the people here as well, but building a better one there, but also working with our EDC, ensuring that we have their vision, that we see their vision. And it's not just, that's an offshoot of the city. Yeah, they're kind of doing their thing. And well, we're running the city, so we'll get with them when we can. But also building a stronger bond with our Chamber of Commerce. It's just trying to build upon those and having strong, meaningful relationships that make an impact down the road, not just now, but we stay in each other's ear. We stay in each other's, side by side, however you want to put it.
Lamesa has, I think, a $14.5 million budget, fairly healthy budget for the size of your city. Full service departments out there, police, fire. I think your fire is a combination department. You've got street, water, wastewater, everything that a city normally has. When this candidate gets into office and gets their feet set beneath them, what's the priorities? What are the areas that they need to focus on first?
Areas that need to focus on, well, it depends on who you ask. To me, we have a fantastic fire chief. We have a fantastic police chief. The police chief has worked very hard in his short time of being there in turning things around. We have a small SWAT unit now, but he has turned that around into a spot that is what used to kind of be a blotch is now a very bright spot. We are actually in a position where, and pay has something to do with why you can't keep people. That's obvious. But it's a bright spot now because we have people coming wanting to work for the city or for our police department because of the awards that they're starting to rack up, because of the training that they provide. We did in our last budget, we did appropriate money for a full-time training officer. Lubbock and Midland have grown to such a point. They are your centers of training in this area. And we believe geographically where we sit that if you can't get into those, well, then what if we were to provide that? We have the facilities. We have more land that we can build more facilities if the need arises. So the police department it's in a unique spot for the future. Areas of focus, I think you're going to see some of the biggest things in town are going to be our streets and our infrastructure. They have worked in the past few years at really getting our water lines, our sewer lines, and getting those. The city has spent several dollars under the ground that people probably never know that we did. And that's been over the last few years. But now it's probably time to take a bigger focus on top of the ground. How do we get our streets into an order? We've kind of set some things in motion with this last budget. We created 2 positions that's all they're doing is fixing streets, fixing potholes. Obviously, quality of life is going to be a big one. And we have the facilities, but how do we make them better? How do we grow upon those? Those will be some of the bigger areas of focus, I really believe, in town.
You guys are working on a rebranding initiative citywide with your EDC and chamber, and you've already talked a little bit about how you want to grow those relationships, especially with the chamber. Why is the rebranding initiative important, and what role will the next city manager play in helping establish the cohesive identity for the city?
Yeah, so it has become apparent when you go to these conferences, especially like Ports to Plains. We're a member of Ports to Plains, which is the main organization driving I-27. And when we went to their conference back, I believe that was in August, maybe September, you get to look and it's like every other city, for the most part, they have one brand, one slogan that is, for the most part, shared across Chamber, EDC, and the city, and whichever other organization is tagging along with them. And then you get to Lamesa and it's like, oh, we have a separate brand, separate slogan for the chamber, separate brand, separate slogan for the EDC and the city. Are y'all the same city? Is this 3 different Lamesas? Kind of what is it? And the logos, they're just not indicative of what we are. You start taking that into effect and it's like, you're selling your product, basically. We're trying to sell the town. Why do we want an interstate? There's negatives that come with it, sure. There's no arguing that point. But, the positives far outweigh the negatives. So, but we have to sell that. So how do you sell it if you have 3 different brands to have to chase after? Is it not better to have one cohesive brand that we can say, hey, this is Lamesa, here's our slogan, and we're open for business. Come talk to us. I-27 TxDOT. Don't bypass us, but have a conversation with us. And that's kind of the position we've been in, is you're trying to peel those relationships. Hey, come pay attention to us, please. And I think with a better branding initiative, with a better just a brand package, you can present yourself a little bit better. You are trying to sell yourself. You're in a business. It is a business. It's very important that we all be on the same page. And, our ideas will obviously differ from time to time, but the overall mission, and what better way to say that you're on the same page, and if you're sharing the same slogan, if you're sharing the same, sharing the same brand, if you're sharing that same mission. We have 3 different mission statements right now. Why not just have one? It makes sense. And being in a unique place, where the plains meet the Permian, that's kind of where we are. We're at the south end of the Cap Rock. And, you get too much farther south of town and it just gradually plays out into the Permian Basin. So something like that, we haven't really decided on anything. That's just where we are. And it was a challenge. We had certain members of council that just were like, well, why? It works. Why? And, one came up with what we have. And it's like, well, why do you want to change that? Well, it's like, hey, we don't not like what you did, but this is just where we are right now. And to me, we're at a crucial juncture that we have to start selling our town. And what better way to do that?
Yeah, I would agree that branding is so important. And when you start talking about how to attract things and how to attract people and companies and you name it, branding is the first thing they're going to probably see. We've talked a little bit about the challenges in Lamesa, lots of great things, but every community has challenges other than what we've already talked about, like the infrastructure and this branding project. Any other challenges that the new city manager should be ready to navigate in their first 12 to 24 months?
There's probably more out there. A lot of it is just going to be kind of your ebb and flow of basic city. You probably could just speak on that position. It's as much being, the cities are in a service industry, basically. We collect the taxes and we go and we provide services. We provide water, we provide sewer, fire service, police service, streets. And it's being better about being customer service oriented. I would say that's probably a big challenge for us right now. We're not really received as being in that, but we just don't. You've got current people and that's hopefully will change. That's what the new city manager will bring with us, is hopefully they bring a customer service mindset. While they have to stand their ground, they can't give in to every recommendation or every question that comes their way. They have to stand their ground. But at the same time, it's, hey, I got to listen to these people because they may or may not have a legitimate ask. They may not a legitimate concern, but we are in the service industry. And that I would say probably just making better about that.
Yeah, Mayor, I've been reading a book called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara, and it's kind of talking about those things, whether it's in the private sector or even in the public sector. How do we really reach out and impact our constituents and or those people that we're serving in an unreasonable way, right? Like going above and beyond. And I think kind of shifting the paradigm between what's trending in our culture, is, the bigger business or the little one-on-one interactions don't matter as much. Really reversing that and understanding that often it's the small things that communities are doing that really impact, people's lives for the better. I also really just want to mention, your city manager is retiring. We had a chance to visit with him, and, I think it's a situation where a new city manager can get in and, there isn't a lot of hostility or things like that. You can get in and really focus on those relationships and kind of take the community forward. Is there anything that you're really excited about as far as having this new manager come in and take over and bring you guys forward?
I am. I think the thing that most excites me is the potential to have somebody who is open-minded and is willing to not already have their mind made up of what the future looks like. We kind of have the structure right now of what it potentially could look like. Having somebody who's open-minded to help us finish that painting, I think that's probably one of the biggest things that excites me about it. And another thing is just the potential to have someone that is community focused again. Like I said, it goes back to the customer service thing. Whoever's city manager, you got to be involved in the community. You want to see them out. They don't have to go to every single thing, and they don't have to go to church 6 times a week, but you want to see them out and about. You want to know that, oh, that's my city manager. And you can throw your elbows and your jabs at them, but at the same time, they're a part of your community. And I think that's one thing that we do need. And I think that that's exciting. I think it's just time for those types of things. And so it's exciting to think about.
We're excited for all the changes coming for you guys in this position. I think we'll hopefully get you to where you want to be. Michael, can you tell us a little bit about the salary and benefits for this position and how somebody would apply if they're ready?
The city has really came in with a good salary of $120,000 to $130,000, depending on qualifications and experience. Really moving that salary up from where it's traditionally been. They realize they want to focus on a professional manager and, also really just focus in on that potential economic growth and really, developing the city into something even more special than it currently is. They offer TMRS retirement and, medical and dental. There is a vehicle allowance. The city, also has 12 paid holidays, which is nice to have those holidays out there. And, there is also relocation assistance available. And so we're excited to have a great pool of candidates come into this process. As always, you can apply through our website, or if you want to just email your resume and cover letter to applylamesa@clearcareerpro.com. We will get you in there. James, the other thing that is really special is we reach out to our candidates every single week and make sure that they're in the know about anything that's happening with the selection process. We'll be working with Mayor here. We're also going to be placing an interim out there, and we'll be working with the mayor and council to get things accomplished while they're waiting on a city manager to come through our selection process.
Sounds like an exciting opportunity. Do you have any final thoughts, Michael, before we wrap up here?
I say this a lot, and maybe it's because I'm easily impressed, but as I go in, I do these recruitments. There are certain places where I'm like, this would be a really great place to work. And it's always better to recruit for those places where you can envision yourself working. And, I when I was out there and I visited with all of the council and mayor and then, most of the staff and had a chance to really spend some time in the community, it's just one of those places, it's a beautiful, West Texas landscape. It's a community that cares about each other. And I think a really great opportunity for those city managers who are good leaders and want to make an impact.
And Mayor Davis, you get the final word. Is there anything that you want to tell prospective candidates before we wrap up? Anything we missed?
Well, I did forget to mention we do have a golf course. We do have a 9-hole golf course. I was sitting here thinking about parks, and I was like, oh, I didn't even mention the golf course. And so we do have that. And it is, we have a great advisory board on that has they've really went outside of what they probably should have had to have done to help the city get it in a spot and help us. We just hired a new manager out there, and so he's a young kid, and it's and I say kid, he's 19. He's young, but that's what he wants to do, and he has a passion for it and is willing to learn. And so that's been neat in having those people in place to help us with that. And it's fixing to go over a big makeover. We're raising 5 of the greens, so I'm going to redo the grass and stuff on those. So we'll have good greens, hopefully, if we can keep them. That's what that young man's priority is to keep the grass alive. So that's probably another exciting thing I didn't even that kind of passed over me about mentioning. And so
you've got hunting and fishing and golf, a major highway coming in, all kinds of potential for growth and industry. I'm not really sure what any other prospective city manager would want. So I'm thinking that you guys are going to see a lot of good candidates, and not to mention the Friday night lights out there.
We do have a rodeo too.
See, look, you keep finding things. Mayor Davis, I want to thank you for joining us today. I also want to thank the city of Lamesa for giving Clear the privilege of helping you guys navigate this process to find your next city manager. If candidates are listening, they can apply by visiting clearcareerpro.com. Follow us on LinkedIn for this and other positions. And we want to thank you for listening to our PositionCast today. And we'll catch you next time.